rolling out with the break of dawn. Canvas skies and the show goes on. Iron stakes and the hammer sound. Building dreams on this muddy ground. With sawdust running through our veins, we do it for the faces in the crowd. Step right up with R&B, 'cause this ain't just a show, it's circus history.
Howdy, everyone, and welcome to Off the Rail Podcast, your podcast for everything circus. We're your Off the Rail ringmasters. I'm R. This is B. How you doing, B?
Hey, how's it going today, bud?
We're doing awesome. And today's sponsor is Red Nose Factory. We have a 10% off coupon. It's if you click the link in the description below. And with that said, our guest today is Scarlett Sullivan. She's a former in the Death Ball. Am I correct on that? Yes?
The Globe of Death, yes.
How you doing today, Scarlett?
I'm so good. How are you? And thank you for having me on.
Well, thank you for being on.
Absolutely, thank
We
you.
are doing wonderful.
Very
Our
excited to be here.
our first question for you will be, how'd you get started? What made you run away with the circus?
Okay, so it wasn't a very intentional thing, but here's kind of how it happened. So my mom put me in dance lessons when I was 2 years old, and she said, just going to give her something to do. I had a lot of energy and I was really wild. So she put me in dance class. I took like tap and ballet, I think. And we had a recital at the very end of the 2-month program or whatever. And I had planned a comedic ending on it where I fell on the ground and went, oops. And I remember being in dance class and my teacher being like, don't do that on the stage. Don't do that on the stage. And like when it was stage time, I was like, I'm going to do it. Like, obviously. And so I did it, and the whole audience, there was it was an auditorium in like a high school, whole audience went nuts. And I was like, oh man, I like this. So I knew I was
Heck yeah.
funny since I was little. I was like, okay, cool. So I continued dance. I was doing acrobatic tricks pretty easily when I was young. I was doing like back tucks when I was 9 and back handsprings when I was 5. And my mom was like, okay, cool. We need to keep going with this. So I did competition dance all the way up until I was 17 years old. I had won like national titles. I was New Jersey State dance champion. I was really, really good at dance. It was like, that was my thing.
So
I loved dance.
You're formally trained in dance.
Yes,
Very
yes. So
nice.
we'd have to take like a couple ballet. Yeah, we had to take a couple ballet classes a week. Like some of them would be like 90 minutes each. But I spent like 40 hours a week in a dance studio when I was a kid, being technically trained. I wanted to be on Broadway. I wanted to be a dancer.
Nice.
That's what I
Heck
wanted
yeah.
to. Yeah, that's what I wanted to do. So I got to be about, I'd say, 17 years old, and I was in high school, and I was like, I just don't want to dance anymore, and I want to do comedy. And I did like a hard cold quit on dance. And I just remember my parents being like, whoa, like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I want to learn comedy. I want to learn how to be funny. I think I'm funny, and I think that's something I should pursue. So I started taking improv classes in New York at Upright Citizens Brigade, the Magnet Theater,
Cool.
just like starting to take like level 1 improv and like getting into that scene. And I fell in love with it. It was so fun. A lot of these theaters were like black box, like underground. They had like the rotting dungeon couches, like, like just really
Nice.
just like, like those kinds of places. And like people were doing some really cool stuff and learning how to use that improv muscle, which is a muscle. You have to keep training that in order. So I started taking classes at the Magnet Theater, Upright Citizens Brigade, the Pit, and just studying improv. And I got really, really into that. In college, I went to a community college. I went to County College of Morris, and I didn't declare a major because I wanted to get my gen eds done and get all that out of the way, so that way I can transfer and do what I wanted to. So I was taking class at a community college and driving to New York, and I lived in New Jersey, so I was driving back and forth doing that on the weekends. When it came time to transfer colleges, I went to Columbia College Chicago, because Chicago was like, that's where you go to study comedy. Like, if you want to be funny, you go to the Second City, you go to the Annoyance, you train over in Chicago. So it's like, okay, that's totally what I want to do. transferred over to Chicago, and I got into a training program through Columbia at the Second City. So instead of taking regular courses at Columbia College Chicago, you go to the Second City, and I would take like improv and sketch writing and like physical class and whatnot. And you passed your day doing that instead in college. So that was super, super, super great experience to be able to be a part of that program, because the people who I met there, I'm still friends with. We still are in contact, and some of them helped me get some really cool jobs too, which we're getting to. But so I went and I lived in Chicago for, I'd say, 3 years, and then I graduated college. And then one of the people who I went to that Second City program with had texted me and said, like, oh, hey, there's an audition for Ringling Brothers, you should go to it, because everybody knew I rode the unicycle, and I was always in flips off of everything, and a little bit of a wild woman. And my friend just texted me and said, you should
Awesome.
go to it. And I was like, whatever, I'll go. And like, I wasn't really big into auditioning at that point.
We can hear you
Can
now.
you see me?
Yes,
Okay. I lost the screen for a second.
Oh, it's fun.
I apologize about that.
that's all good.
um where was I?
The Ringling
Oh
audition.
yeah, so my friend had texted me about this audition. Yeah. So I was like, okay, cool, let me go. I was working at a restaurant at the time, and I had a shift in the morning, had like eggs and syrup all over my pants. And I was like, I'm just gonna go to this. And yeah, it was like I wasn't really like wanting to, or like, oh, I need to get this job. It was just like, oh, this seemed like a fun kind of thing to do. So like I
Yeah.
went, and there was a decent amount of people there. And I later on found out that they also had auditions in two other places. I think they had it in New York, Chicago, and I can't remember if it was like Texas or something, or
I think it
California.
was
But they did
L.A.
have three auditions that day and found people. I think it might have been LA. I'm pretty sure it was LA. We later did them in Texas, but yes, I'm pretty sure it was in LA. And I remember at my audition, it was David Kaiser was there, Greg DeSanto was there, Karen was there, Peggy was there,
Nice.
Ruthie was there. Like a whole bunch of people who I didn't know were going to mean a lot to me were there in
Right.
that room at that time. And I just remember at the audition, like the audition itself wasn't like, oh, you just walked into a room and just did your stuff and that was it. Thank you. Bye. It was like they were like Greg and Karen, I believe, were in full makeup, and they were like doing bits and stuff. And it was like, all right, cool. This is not like a regular audition. And like we did like this physical
Doing bits and
workshop.
stuff.
Um
I think it
yeah,
was
I
the
was
audition
talking about
part.
my audition and it being Wiley.
Wiley, I remember you
Yeah.
talking about Karen and Greg in makeup,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
then I
they
think
were
it
in
cut out
full
there.
blown makeup. They were doing a full blown bit, and like you instantly knew like this wasn't just a regular audition. So we did a physical workshop, and then like we if you wanted to perform like a piece of something or like do like a special skill, you could do that. And I did like this bit where I was like I had a suitcase and I did like a backflip off of the suitcase, and I just remember just being like, oh, I just want to have fun. Like, cause some of these people who were at this audition were like
Heck
serious,
yeah.
serious clowns. And I'm like, I have no experience at all. And like, this is just fun for me. And, so like afterwards they called the name that was on my chest on the white piece of paper. And they were like, oh, we want to interview you. I was like, okay. And I just remember sitting down with David Kaiser and him being like, how would you feel about just leaving and living on a train? I was like, all right, let's go. And
Ah,
I just remember like, yeah, going home and be like, okay, cool. And I had to find somebody to take over my apartment in like 10 days. And it was a very quick thing that happened. And I just remember getting on the train and just like, that was it. We did a brief period of time for clown college. And from there, the show went from um, the United Center, Rosemont, and then we went to Indianapolis right after that. So it moved quickly. Like once you decided, like, okay, let's go, bye bye, and it was great. And I just instantly remember getting there and thinking to myself, people either love this and would like live and die for this, or like this is not a good life for everybody. Like it definitely takes a certain kind of person to live
oh
on a
yeah.
train and
Most
Oh yeah.
say
definitely.
yes to that kind of a thing, and like I just remember being like, yeah. And I was, how old was I was 22 at the time. So it was 2012. 2012 was when I joined the Blue Unit. And it was just like fascinating. Just remember it happening and being
Oh,
like,
you're a
this was
blue
supposed
unit
to
person.
happen. Yes, I'm a Blue Unit clown. So when we went
We're
to Purple
talking to two
College,
red units.
I know it too. So yes, I am blue. There was a time I almost went to red. There was a time, but I am blue through and through.
So you were almost a
But
purple.
almost, yes. It was a possibility of becoming a purple clown, but yeah. So I ended up being blue though all the way through. So that was good. Um, but yeah, it was definitely a
So
big change for my life.
so you're more
What were you
like
gonna say?
Greg DeSantis. You're more like Greg DeSantis. You didn't have like an inspiring to grow up to be a clown. You kind of just fell into the gig.
Yeah, I knew I always wanted to perform. I knew I loved doing wild stuff. I didn't like just like, oh, like I know how to do this. I like to be like, okay, what's next? And like, how can we push it from there? I knew I was a little bit more extreme than the other theater performers around me. And like, I don't know, the circus now looking back was like the perfect context for me. I just wasn't really exposed to it that much as a kid to know like, oh, this is what I want to do. But when I was 9, I asked my grandparents for a unicycle, for Christmas. Like,
Oh wow.
that's a pretty circus of me and me not knowing it, is the funny part. But yeah, it ended up just being like a really, really good environment for me. And like, I loved it. Like, it doesn't feel like work. I could do a show every single day of my life. And there's been times where I have, and
Oh
you
yeah.
just like, you love it. And you're like, I just love doing this. I'm not going to complain about the schedule. I'm not going to complain about how hard it is. Like, I just love what I do. So like the circus was able to provide me with that. I'm a total workaholic. I have a really hard time sitting still. In the circus, those things are okay. You know what I mean? So I
Yeah,
feel like,
right.
Yeah.
yeah, you can really get the full potential out of yourself if you like that. But yeah, finding the circus was a big game changer for me. I didn't see it from the beginning though. So it was a very happy accident in my life. Especially like I'm first generation. Like I don't, my parents didn't do this. My brothers, they both do like home remodeling and construction and painting and wallpapering and stuff. So like for me to get involved in this is like, oh, where'd this come from in our family? It's definitely a different thing. But my husband also, I met him my second year on Ringling. I met him at the opening night party for Legends in
Uh,
in Tampa, right after Showbuild. I bumped into him and we met. And my husband is a motorcyclist for
Wait,
the Torres troupe. Yes,
what year did you say that was? 2012,
it was opening
2013,
night.
somewhere around there.
It might have been 2013 or like literally the day of 2013 into
So
2014
so
because it was
here's
New
something
Year's.
funny.
Yeah.
Legends was the no, I was about to say because we could have crossed paths because
It's possible.
I was the pump guy, the guy who pumped out the train at
Okay.
that time. So we may
Oh
have
my
met each
gosh.
other and didn't
That's
even know.
super possible. Oh my God. That's so
Because that's
funny.
where I started, and then I moved over to, I actually got on with Red. But yeah, I was just thinking, I'm like, oh my
Okay.
God, I might have met her. But anyway, go
I've
ahead.
been on the red train several times. I've been there, and yeah, it's very possible we have walked around each other or like said hi or something like that. That's crazy to think
Yeah,
about. Oh my gosh, so funny. But yeah, I forget what I was saying now.
I'm sorry.
So
That's okay.
we're gonna. You were talking about meeting your husband, the Lopez troupe.
Oh, that's right. Yep.
Oh yeah, yes, that's right. So my husband was a motorcyclist in the Globe of Death with the Torres troupe. It's him
Torres.
and
I'm
his
sorry.
the Torres, yeah. So him and his family, they did the Globe of Death for years on Ringling. Uh, Super great troupe. They were so low key. All of them were just like to themselves. They did their thing. They were responsible. Like they were just like a really solid, like good troupe. And most of them were brothers. So they had 8 people riding in the Globe of Death when I met them. Like that was like their big finale trick was 8 people in the Globe, and it was really super cool. But I bumped into my husband opening night for Legends, and we just hey, just kind of met, and then we kept saying hi, and then we started, becoming friends, and then we started dating. And it's funny because like after about a year's worth of time, and we call this circus time in my family, it's like you feel like you've been dating for like 5-10 years, and it's only really been a year, but because you live on the train, you live together, you work together, you eat, like you spend every day
Oh, yeah.
together. In the normal world, when you start dating somebody, you see them once a week, you see them, you see them sometimes, but in the circus, you see them every single day. So like things kind of just like seem like they're faster. But we got married after a year, and then my son was born in 2019. No, I'm sorry, 2016, in May. So he was built, or I'm sorry, he was born. He was built and born in show build for Out of This World. Yeah. So he was born in Tampa and Bradenton. And
So I got some questions about your pregnancy.
Yeah. Yes. Go ahead, let it rip.
How long did you perform and hid your pregnancy?
This is a really great question.
We don't have to add that one, by the way.
No,
but-
you sure can, because that this is one of my favorite stories to talk about in Ringling, because it is pretty fun. So I worked pregnant as a clown for 8 months, and I had this great big skirt, and we just kept pulling it up and pulling it up and pulling it up until I got pretty big. Around 8 months, I was unable to run, and it was like, okay, I cannot work any longer. And I did eventually go on maternity leave. But yeah, I got pretty big during that time. And yeah, I had 8 different OBGYN doctors throughout the country. I had them in like Alabama. I had one in New Jersey. They were all over the place because we were traveling. So you needed to get a new doctor every time you needed to go to a doctor, which is once a month when you're pregnant. So yeah, being a mother on the road and being an expecting mother on the road was it was a challenge, but it is so possible. You just have to do things. You have to accept doing things in an unconventional manner and just be like, okay, cool, let's do it. So yeah, Marcella was eventually born in winter quarters in Tampa in 2016. And we had in our train room, we lived in my husband's train room. We kind of merged together because I had my own room on 189. Then he had a room on 184. And we both moved into his room, and we had like a little crib that was attached to the wall. And like we just chilled in there, my son, once he was born. And like we just went like straight from the hospital back to the train. So he was a train baby. And
Nice.
we raised him there from the time he was born until 2017 when they closed both units. So we were there all the way up until the end.
Wow.
Yeah, it was wild because my husband was still working, and at that time I was looking to go back into the show as a clown. But once they made the announcement that they were closing both units, I was like, okay, I'm going into concessions right now. That's definitely where you're going to want to be. Concessions was booming at that time because everybody was selling cups that said final farewell and things like that.
Oh,
So you
yeah.
definitely wanted to be a part of that if you could. So also concessions is super good experience. I think everybody needs to work in concessions at one time or another. Just good for you to pick up those skills on how to sell things and be accountable and money, and it's a good experience. So I highly recommend, if anybody ever can, work in concessions at some point in your life at any show. But yeah, I did concessions all the way up until the end, and it was a wild time. Every show was like sold out once they made that announcement. But it was sad. There was definitely a sadness in the air once they announced the show was closing. But everyone just kind of had to figure out what they were going to do from there. So at that
It was
point,
the end of a legacy.
it sure was. It like rocked everybody's world. I remember being in the room and them making the announcement, and you could hear a pin drop, and it was chilling. Everyone was like, "Whoa!" Definitely came out of left field for a lot of people. But my husband and I, at that time, he did not have a green card, and when they announced the show was closing, he had a ticket back to Paraguay, and I had a ticket to New Jersey, where I came from, or Chicago at the time, and I was like, oh no, this isn't good. Like I had a 6-month-old baby, and I'm like, I'm not trying to not trying to be all apart like this right now. This is my first child. Like, this is hard. So we instantly, like, once they announced it, put in an application for his green card and like established residency, like where my parents were, so that way we could be receiving mail to one spot. And then yeah, we spent the next like couple years just trying to live in, you know, the normal world, and just getting acclimated with all that. And it
I bet
just
that was
wasn't,
fun.
it didn't work for us at all. It didn't work. I've done everything from like store management to real estate to like I've done everything. It wasn't until I got to Chicago and I had a job and I got laid off. The company was just like rearranging and resizing, and I got laid off. And I was like, that's it, I'm done. I'm just going to go back to clowning. And I started teaching gymnastics and comedy and clowning in Chicago again. So that was kind of like, oh, cool. I do know how to do this thing, and maybe I should just be happy and, you know, start teaching comedy and stuff again.
Oh, there
And
you go.
yeah, so that was a little bit better. And then we moved to Wisconsin, and
I
I
love their
have
cheese.
family. Oh my God, it is the best. The curds are the best. The cheese is the best.
12-year cheddar.
I'm a big fan of Wisconsin and what Wisconsin has to offer. Like,
Mhm.
it is really, it's one of my favorite places I
Circus
live.
cheese.
Oh God, I love it. I'm ready to
Two
get a
best things
cheese
ever.
wheel tattoo. Oh my God, circus and cheese. What's better than that? But
Yeah.
oh my God, there's so many good things happening in Wisconsin. Wisconsin Dells.
Oh
There's a
yeah.
lot of circus stuff happening there. I got a couple gigs like clowning. I worked for the Al Ringling Brewing Company for a while, and I was going to festivals and, you know, full clown, and I was a beer clown. That was super fun. So I
Oh,
started doing
cool.
that. Yeah, so I started doing that kind of stuff again. But while we were living in Chicago, and right after I got laid off, I believe you need to hit rock bottom sometimes and say, that's it. Like, I'm doing something else completely. And that's when you switch gears, that's kind of when things happen in life. But I remember living in Chicago, losing my job, and standing in my kitchen and telling my husband, I'm going to buy a globe. I'm going to get a globe. I'm going to find a globe, and we're going to start working again. And a little over a year, we were able to find a globe, and we started working again. So things can happen if you put your mind to them, even if they seem kind of crazy. So that's kind of how we got back into circus, my husband and I, recently. So we've been back performing since March. We
Well,
worked
before we
for,
get into all that,
yeah,
let's go back to Ringling a little bit
let's do it.
on your
Let's do it.
clowning days.
Yeah,
I feel
let's
like
do
we
it.
skipped over a lot of good stories, probably.
Oh no, there's I'm sure there's tons of things
Oh,
that
here
you want to dig into.
I
Yeah.
I have one specifically for you because I
Yes,
asked this of all the clowns.
please.
Favorite pie story, birthday pieing.
Favorite pie story? Okay, so it's gonna have to be Father Frank. Father Frank. Yeah, I got
No.
Father Frank backstage in Legends, and it was the greatest thing of all time. It was Shandor was there, I was there. I have a picture of it I might be able to send in to y'all. It was
Oh,
one of the
perfect.
greatest because it was like you just, first of all, even if he says he doesn't want it, he wanted it. I knew he wanted it. Like, we all knew he wanted it, and we got him in such a good spot. He was like right behind like the curtain in such a black area, and it was very unsuspecting. And like, we know every nook and cranny of those curtains. We can hang out and hide in all kinds of areas we know that other people may not know upon first sight. And like, I just remember we got him, and it just feeling so wonderful because it was like he wanted it, and he deserved it the most. Like, Father Frank he's my favorite. He baptized my son
All
uh
right on.
Are you
when
Catholic?
Marcella was born. Yes, my husband and
Very
I are
nice.
both
Very nice.
Catholic. Yeah, so he was baptized. You have to have some faith when you do dangerous stuff. You know what I mean? You
Oh,
don't know when
sure,
it's your
sure.
last. You don't know when it's your last day. So yeah. So Marcella was baptized by Father Frank, but Father Frank is my total favorite pine of all time. Shout out to Father Frank.
Nice.
Yeah. There was so many birthdays. That's one thing about being in the circus is how many birthdays, especially if you're on a show as big as Ringling. There's constant birthdays. It's always
Oh
someone's
yeah.
birthday. There's always a cake someplace. I just got
Well,
off
you're
of
traveling with about 350 people, so
yeah,
there's
constant
someone to
birthdays.
pie.
Constant. I think we got Lily one time, Alex Petrov's mom. She was our clown wardrobe, and I'm pretty sure we got her one year. I pied Lily. That's right. I pied. Okay. This is. I'm now having a tie between her and Father Frank. I pied Lily, and I pied her so gently it wasn't funny. You want to be careful with Lily. Lily's older. You don't want to boom like smash her in the face. I just remember coming at her in slow motion, real slow like this, and she knew it the whole time, and we all watched in slow mo. And she gave into it because she knew the whole alley wanted to see this happen. We were all enjoying it. She's like, all right, I'll let it happen in real slow motion. But it was good. Lily's my favorite. That's another thing about being in Ringling is how many amazing people you get to be around all the time and just like hear stories about them and their parents and just being around that level of like excellence and talent is just really, really cool hearing their stories.
Especially
like
when it's multi-generational performers or people that's been in the circus. Yeah.
Absolutely. It was really cool. So just being around those people like Lily was always my favorite. But yeah, that was good.
What was some of your memorable train runs?
Oh man. I'd say when the train went to Mexico was my favorite train run. We had to come up with like an itinerary and a list and all this stuff. And like there was just so many factors going into it. I remember they needed inventory of your room and what was in it, and just needing to claim all the things in your bedroom, and it being like bizarre. They brought drug dogs in, and like I just remember seeing like paw prints on your bed and being like, oh my god, it was crazy. But we had to cross the border, and I think we were on the train for a solid week or 5 days, something like that. But you just had to accept. I'm in my pajamas for the next 5 days. I cannot shower, cannot do this. I have the things I need, and that's that. And just listen to CDs or DVDs, whatever it was that we were doing in that time, and just hanging out. It was really fun. They did park at one point, and we were able to get off, but that was a really, really long train run.
Right. And we did when we went to Mexico. I remember because they told us, you can only have so much water and all that. So being train crew, I had access to empty rooms. I was hot water all through the train.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. I had tons of water when we got there.
Wow. See, that's a gift. That's amazing. Yeah. I remember it being like, just like, it's one of those things where it's like some people, you could complain about it if you wanted to, but why would you? We're having fun here,
Oh, yeah, sure.
Well, I remember I didn't cross over. I wasn't with Ringling when they went to Mexico, but I remember hearing stories that they had to get rid of all the food inside of Pie Car.
Oh, yeah.
And get all new food in Mexico. And that's crazy.
Oh yeah, that is definitely problematic.
Pie Car is the lifeline for the train when there's no stopping food or anything. So
yes, it is. Breakfast was my
open
favorite.
24/7.
Yeah, no, literally 24/7. Oh man, I love Pie Car. It was the biggest lifesaver, and breakfast was my favorite. I would always get breakfast there in the morning on train runs. It was like the one time, if I didn't go out that week, that was like the one thing I was going to do is hit Pie Car.
There you go.
It was good. What did y'all like cooking there? What was your favorite thing?
Oh, for me, I love cooking the breakfast steak and eggs.
Oh, yeah.
Comes with a ribeye steak, 12 ounce, 2 eggs, and some hash browns. It was just a good hearty. Yeah, it's a good hearty breakfast.
Oh, man.
So. For me, I'm a little easier as my co-host will tell you. I was more the type to let them. I would tell them cook whatever they wanted for me. I was dealer's choice.
Yeah.
He'll tell you. I'm easy.
Yeah.
And the spicier the better. And he knows.
Oh my gosh.
We hurt some people with a wing contest we had.
Oh my god, you had a wing contest?
Yeah, so we had Uncle John.
Okay.
I don't know if you ever met Uncle John.
No, I don't think so.
He is a legend in Pie Car. I don't know how long he's forever in Pie Car. Like he's just part of the train.
Yeah.
But Uncle John would love spicy food. So me, Uncle John, and R would always try to one up each other with spice levels. So
Nice.
since we had all this spicy stuff around, there's a few train runs I'd offer, a wing contest. If you tap out, you have to pay. If not, I'll buy the wings. Just fun.
Ooh, yeah.
So we had a few people tap out and get mad at us, but
Yeah, I
Yeah,
like being able to control my spicy on a wing though. Like I like to have that control over it. I do like
we
spicy
went
stuff.
full nuclear.
Oh my god. That's so fun though.
We were hoping they didn't finish the first wing. So but we would eat like 4 or 5 of the wings ourselves to show them, like, hey, it ain't that bad. But we were kind of crazy with spice.
I like that
Yeah,
though.
a
I think
little
spicy's important in my book. That's awesome. I
So
remember my very first night on the train. I remember finding out about pie car. Somebody being like, "There's a pie car," and I went there and feeling like, okay, I feel safe. Do you know what I mean? Like after going to the pie car, that was the first thing I saw on the train, and I was like, "This is going to be okay." There's at least a pie car here. It's like a beacon of hope.
We're good.
At least there's food. We're good to go.
So here's
what
a
are some
quick
of your
one.
memorable? Go ahead.
Sorry. So before we get to, it's just so all the time you said all the years you've been on the train. When you go off the train, how long did it take you to? How can I put this? The phantom petal. If you know what I mean. The Doniger. How long did it take you to stop going for the phantom petal?
Man, honestly, like coming out of the train and adjusting into real life is a challenge, and like you don't think that that's something that you're going to have to deal with.
Oh yeah.
But I remember going in and like getting an apartment after we left the train, and thinking it was weird to watch my husband walk across the room. You know what I mean? Because like we were always in the train, and I never really watched him walk across a room. Obviously, unless we're at the show or something like that. But like dealing with large spaces was quite the challenge. And I'm going to be honest with you, sometimes I still go for the pedal.
Yeah, right.
Don't we all? We were all just stuck going for the pedal for the rest of our lives.
Well, listen, whenever, how, because we lived out of Walmart's,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to tell you right now, it was probably a good 4 or 5 months after leaving the train. I'd go into a Walmart, and if I'm in there more than 20 minutes, I'd forget what city I was in.
Oh
and I'd
my
start
God,
looking,
that's so funny.
I'd start looking for other Ringling people, and then I'd look for the crew
Oh
truck,
my God.
when I went outside the crew truck,
Yeah. No, it definitely changes your chemistry a little bit. You become wired to wanting to like move and like, I don't know. I think that's one of the issues my husband and I had with trying to get acclimated to regular life was like there wasn't a moving as part of the process. And we're like every 2 years we're like, let's go live in Florida. Let's go live in Chicago. Let's go live here. Like we just kept moving all the time. And then after a while, my mom's like, holy cow, like all you do is move. Why don't you just go back to like working in circus? And I'm like, yeah, maybe we should at this point. So we're much happier though. We're very happy doing what we love. And I'm excited because I get to share now. My son's 9. I'm able to share things with him, that I've learned, that I care about. And he has spent the last like 8 years listening to us talk about Ringling this, and we did this, and when we met, blah, blah, blah. So it's exciting for me to be able to bring him into this world now. And hopefully I can keep him on track to being a second generation performer, which would be a huge dream of mine. So he was in our show in Canada Circus Spectacular. He picked up juggling and just got so interested in it. After a while, they were like, let's just put him in the show. And like, he's cute. He knows what he's doing. And you watch him, you're like, oh my God, he actually is pretty decent for a little guy. So it's good for him to feel that encouragement and want to do something and practice it. And it's good for him.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it is good. We'll get him on a motorcycle soon.
All right, well, let's lead back into you buying that death ball then.
Oh yeah, let's get into that.
So what was that? What was that thought process like?
That process was like, it was like this. If you want to be a rock star, and you want to be in a band, you better have a guitar. And I'm sitting there looking at my husband like he can't do his job unless he has his stuff. And he's been working construction jobs and like restaurant jobs and stuff like that, just trying to figure out like what he wants to do. After a while, I'm like, wait a minute, why don't we just buy our own globe? You know what I mean? Like, why can't we find one, and why can't we figure that out? So I started looking around and just asking people like, hey, do you know where one exists? Do you know where there is one? And I was lucky enough to find one and lucky enough to be close enough to be able to get it. So once we got it, we set it up in Wisconsin in my sister-in-law's yard, and like just one piece at a time. And we the three of us set up this big globe in the backyard, and it's still there in Wisconsin. If you want to go to Baraboo, there's a big globe up on the hill, and yeah. So that's kind of how we got started. Was we just bought the globe and just said, let's see where we go from here. You know, that's kind of the first thing you have to do is get what you need and then you go from there and see what happens. I have found out in life, if I plan anything, you're not going to be able to get to do it. Something else is going to happen and change, and
Yeah.
it'll probably be 10 times better anyway. So I always like to make very general, broad strokes in my life. I'm going to buy a globe. What I'm going to do with it, I don't know. I'll see from there. But I do know that the action is we need to get a globe. But that was one thing that was essential for getting my husband, back into work. So then he and I, developed an act where I'm inside the globe, he rides around in the globe, and we're going to Paraguay in a couple of weeks, and I'm going to also be learning globe. So we'll have a 2-person act, and we're very excited about everything. It's good.
Very nice.
That's
What
awesome.
was it like?
Yeah.
Because I'm guessing that was like when you bought the globe, you haven't been inside of a globe before, right?
Well, I had been inside of one. They had it at Ringling, and I remember they put it in the Ringmaster Zone. You could take pictures of it and stuff like that. I've been in the globe before, but I've never been
With
performing with it
motorcycles?
before. So that was definitely a what was that?
I said with the motorcycles
With the
going.
motorcycles?
Oh yeah, no. I had wanted to learn a few years prior when I was in Ringling, but I was pregnant with Marcella and was not able to do that at that time. So it's something I always knew I wanted to do from Ringling. Just the timing was never right, and then we were at a circus, so it is something that I'm putting on my checklist for this year. So coming soon, it'll be good.
Nice.
Yeah, but when we did get our globe, it was in quite some shape. It was not assembled. It had been neglected for many years, and it was really cool to get it and put it together and work on it. Um, I just got back from Canada Circus Spectacular. We had a 90-day tour. We did 86 cities. So every day you woke up at like 7 a.m., drove to your city an hour and a half, 2 hours, set up the globe, do 2 shows, one show, take the globe down, sleep, and then do the whole thing again the next day. We did it 86 times in a row. And like after that, you know so much about globes. Like we put it together 86 times. So, you just end up learning so much about it in a way that you didn't really see coming.
Wow. Have you
Yeah.
have you had any moments in the globe where you were just like, wow, that was a close call?
Do you know, no, my husband was with Ringling on the Torres troupe doing the Globe for, God, I think it was close to 10 years. And he is one of the most stable, dependable riders I have ever seen. Like he his style, he goes like he kind of power rides a little bit, like he puts a lot of power behind it, but he's very, 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 very controlled. And I think that's like one of the coolest parts about watching him is the amount of control that he has. Because in Ringling, they would do 2 rows on the top, so there'd be a couple riders on the top, a couple on the bottom, and then the brother in front of him, because he was the second one on the top, would do the loops in between. So he was the person who was kind of in control of like, oh, we need to go faster, we need to go slower. So I feel very comfortable working with him
Okay,
in
right on.
there. And if he is ever close to me, or anything is ever like that, I know he has total control over it. Same for myself. Like I believe in physical intelligence and physical awareness, and
Sure.
being able to control yourself sometimes in a moment if you should be falling, how to fall properly so you're not going to crush your ankle or whatever. But yeah, no, I don't get scared or worried about it because it is us, and that's one thing I like about like having a family act is like being able to be like, okay, we're changing this internally, and we're in control over this, and it is just him, it is just me, and I know what to expect every time. So I feel like trust is a really big factor in doing an act like the Globe. But what's cool about it is we're able to bring both of our skill sets into this act because he does the Globe and I'm a clown essentially. So we can kind of merge those two things together, and you don't see a whole lot of that, so it's kind of fun.
That is pretty
Question.
cool.
Yeah. Yes.
Have you thought about, so do you do the full clown makeup in the death ball, or
Right now, for this last tour we had, no. I did have lighter makeup. I'd say it's probably closer along the lines of like character makeup, because I did the whole show in my motorcycle get up, my little motorcycle shirt. So you want to create a character through line throughout all this. So I am a very firm believer in if you establish a character in the show, we want to see it again. We want to see it again. We want to develop a relationship with this character if possible, with the audience. And so like I would like to stay in that, but I did not wear full clown. I did not wear a nose or any like hard or bright whites. I just kind of wear like accent makeup a little bit. Um, but not yet. That doesn't mean in the future that's not something that could possibly happen also. So I'll have to see where we're gonna go. I'm a very firm believer in being custom per show and whatever the show needs. So if a show does need a clown inside, like full blown clown, that's also totally fine with me. I'd be happy to do that as well. But fitting the tone of our last show, I did not go in full clown. But we'll see.
Yeah, why not? Um,
Yeah.
so all right, so I'm going to mention something. Um, you were there. Were you there for that hair hang
Yes, I
incident?
was. I was one of the
So,
clowns that covered that up.
oh wow. So how?
Mhm.
I mean, obviously, if you don't want to talk about it, you don't have to. But I was just curious of like, how did that change things in the circus world? How did?
Man, that was something that rocked everybody's world. Nobody was ready for
Oh yeah,
that.
no, no. We were in New York
And
when we got the news.
uh-huh. I was backstage, and if you heard on the radio, because we had an intercom that would all go throughout like all the dressing rooms, and the clowns always had an intercom, like a radio system in there, and we heard "Send in the clowns," and it was more. You could hear there was something wrong in our production manager's voice. It was
Right.
not a it was a little frightening, and we ran to the corner, and you had to literally just take a second to process what was going on.
Oh, I bet.
And oh no, it was wild, and like you really just couldn't believe because like that those were our friends. That's some of my
Oh,
family.
sure.
Like I have a family member who was in that accident, and it was really really shocking. And you had to realize in that moment the only thing I can do to help is just whatever somebody tells me to do. So they told us to go out and do like like an emergency walk around, and it was like the audience didn't want to pay attention, we didn't want to pay attention, you know
Oh,
what I mean,
sure.
everyone
Yeah.
wanted to figure out what was going on. And I think we were out there like 40 minutes or something crazy like that. We were out there a long time. And then they
Oh,
eventually
yeah.
told us to start waving goodbye to people, so that way people go home. Because they had made the decision to cancel the show at that point.
Sure.
And, and then after that, other than seeing this horrifying scene and, having to maintain composure in front of an audience, yeah, it was going to the hospital and visiting everybody and then like helping everybody recoup after that. And it was crazy because all of a sudden like these people who are a huge part of your lives who you ate lunch with and you hung out with and you had all these inside jokes with and they're your family and stuff, all of a sudden like they're just in really bad state. But if you talk to each and every one of them, they each have an incredible story about like how it's incredible they're around still and after something like that, and like they all have these incredible recovery stories.
Oh,
They all
yeah.
recovered very nicely because they were all in shape and they were all strong. So they say if you have to recover from an injury or a surgery or whatever, if you're in good shape, you do have a chance of recovering faster. And, luckily enough, all of them were able
Right.
to
Yeah.
recover. All of them are having great lives and have, many children and stuff. And it's really happy for me to see that. But it was really unfortunate. And I think it checked not only the people who were working there at the time, but I think the whole circus world of just like, you can never be too careful with anything.
Oh yeah.
You can never be too careful. You can never double check enough. And it was shocking. It was a really shocking experience. It was very humbling too, because we had kind of just started the tour. It was like a couple months in, so everybody was like, wow, like, had these really high spirits about everything. And
Oh
it,
yeah.
it was it was dark. It was dark. And then they had to rearrange the show, of course, after that. And it was, the changes were felt, and it reminded you of what happened. So it was definitely a dark period of time. But everything has ups and downs, and we're all just happy that everybody's doing good and recovered. And
Oh, most
you
definitely.
know some of them got up and kept working. So it was definitely a shocking experience, but it's being part of a human. And it was very cool to watch them all bounce back and be that strong.
It's awesome.
you know
Yeah. I
yeah.
was actually sitting. We were in New York, I think Albany. I think the
Right.
train was. I was actually sitting in Pie Car, and it came on the news in Pie Car.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Then we were like, "What? What is going on here?" Like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Then of course phone calls started coming through people, and yeah, it was crazy.
hmm
But you
it
get to
was it was wild.
you also see how strong the circus bond and community and love is for each
Yeah.
other through something like that. So,
Yeah. It's you see how connected everybody is. And like I was saying, when the accident happened, like, those are friends, those are family members and stuff. So like, when this happened, like, just to see everybody backstage come out and help out with everything it is a moment where you're like, wow, this is what it means sometimes to be human, is to have
oh
these
yeah,
things inside of you. And it's really, it was incredible to go through. But yeah, very, very unfortunate. But again, I'm happy everybody's good. And
oh
you
definitely,
know
yes, 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 yes.
but yeah, it is a miracle when I think about it, that whole incident.
Oh yeah.
We were in Rhode Island. That's where we were.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Rhode Island.
Yeah.
You
All
got
right.
something, B?
Well,
Any other questions?
that's really hard to follow up.
Yeah, right. Yeah, for sure. Nothing else like that.
Well, I can tell you what. Let's flip it. Let's try to bring it back up. How?
Yeah,
So how the what did you say? The Canadian Circus? What was that? The show you said you just did?
Canada Circus Spectacular.
Yeah. So how much does that differ from Ringling?
Very different. One thing that is cool, there were some folks from Ringling, or people who had like second degree friends of Ringling. And one of the other clowns that I worked with on Canada Circus Spectacular came from Ringling as well. So we were able to bond over that, which was nice. Um, it was very different. It is a stage show. Um, Even though Ringling didn't technically have the three rings, it was still a way larger venue, way larger scaled show. So it was definitely different. But it's cool to work on a smaller show also, because when you're doing Ringling, everything is big and it's huge. But when you're scaling it back, finer details are very important, because you're performing for a more intimate space and a smaller audience. And you really want to make sure that that your performance is packing as big of a punch as if it was on Ringling with a bigger audience. You just gotta kind of have to figure out your scale. But it was definitely different. But the value that comes with, like, hey, I'm from Ringling, is awesome. You know what I mean? Because we've seen how this works, we know how this works. And if we do it that way that we learned in Ringling, then it will help everything. You know what I mean? I find sometimes that our processes would be like, oh, in Ringling we did it like this, and we'll apply that to whatever we're doing in that moment. But um, Ringling is a great place to learn how to work. I'll put it that way. Like,
Yeah.
there's just so many processes and things that are set up in ways that show you, like, oh, this is possible because we do it this way, and because we do it this way every single time we do it. So learning how to be organized and structured and things like that from Ringling help you in other places. So I'm very thankful for my experience. for that.
Awesome. So
Yeah.
you've worked with Bella Nock.
Yes,
How's that?
we were. He's the I can't even begin. He's the absolute greatest. It is such a huge honor to work for him. Um, I met him in Wisconsin, and we started working at his show in the Dells, Bellows Circus Extreme at the Wisconsin Dells Legacy Dinner Theater. It was all you can eat pizza lasagna. It was great. Um, we had a really, really good show. Every act was just awesome,
We're
and
hoping to get
that
him
was
on the
our
show.
first. Oh yeah, no, definitely. He has the best stories, the best attitude, like just great guy. But his show was our first show back in circus, so that meant Anibal, my husband, getting back in the Globe and learning literally how to re-ride after being out of the Globe for 8 years. And
Oh wow. Yeah.
it took some time, and it's like you forget, like if you're doing gymnastics or tumbling or Globe, whatever it is, and you've been out of it for a while, you get back in it and you have to deal with the dizzies. Like, I deal with the same thing, with doing like tumbling and stuff. Like you get the dizzies. The more you practice, the more the dizzies go away. So, he's learning how to re-ride in the Globe, and it was a little bit nerve-wracking at first. It's like, oh my God, I can't believe we're practicing and we're going to be doing the show. But the show quality was just really, really nice, and the venue itself was really beautiful. And we lived close by. It was in Wisconsin. We lived in Baraboo, so it was a really, really good fit. So we were very excited about it.
What was your favorite train run?
My favorite train run. Um, Okay, I know this is a corny answer. I love all train runs. However, there was this one piece, like any train run is a good train run in my opinion. Best sleep of your life.
Sure. Oh yeah, they're all fun.
Oh God, but
Rocks you
there was
like a
this one
baby.
strip, and maybe oh my God, best sleep I've ever had in my whole
Oh
life.
yeah.
It's hard to sleep in a normal bed after living on the train.
When I came off the
But
train, it
there
Right.
took
was
me
this,
weeks to sleep normal in an actual regular night. So yeah,
yeah, yes. Even sometimes I will even miss like the jolts. Like you ever remember like just sleeping and it's just been like boom, and you just
slammed
have this
against the
like
wall.
Oh
great
yeah.
big jolt. I would miss
Sure.
that sometimes.
That's when you know the guys in the engine are used to hauling freight, not humans.
Yeah. Like I would even miss things like that. Like, cause that was part of the experience, just like having a boom moment where all of a sudden the
Oh
whole
yeah.
train would just jolt and some things would fall off of your cabinet. And that was totally fine.
Or if you're cooking and your hand ends up on a flat top.
Oh my
You
God.
know,
That also sounds not fun at all.
it happens.
Oh
Nothing
my.
I like
Ooh,
worse than a burn.
yikes.
Damn. That's funny. Um, I think my favorite train run. There was this, maybe somebody knows where this was or what it's called, but there was like this. It was in California, I think. We would hit the beach, and like you would literally have the train run up along the beach, and it was somewhere in California. And I remember that being some of my favorite.
It's the train run coming from south going up to San Francisco.
There it is. I knew
Yeah,
it. It was somewhere in California.
Yeah,
Really,
that was
really pretty
I
there.
think I know what you're talking. I may have pictures I'll put up, but or a short
They exist.
video.
I've seen them. Yeah, some people have them. I've seen them before. I think I might have one somewhere, and I think it's from California. Very, very scenic
I
there.
spent 2.5 years on the
And
train recording with GoPros, so I have a lot of footage of train
oh, I love
runs.
that. See, the GoPros are the best because then you have all that footage as if it's coming from like right here.
Yep.
That's really cool. There was a train run I remember one time I was on and we saw a tornado forming and it was
oh
very
what?
cool to watch. Yeah, terrifying, absolutely terrifying, because you
Oh
don't
I
know if
bet.
that thing can blow off and hit us, on the train, but like watching it form from a distance was one of the coolest things to
Oh
watch.
my god.
And like just being in the vestibule and watching that and be like, oh my God. And I took pictures, I was young.
Oh
I
yeah,
took
that's
pictures
crazy.
with it. Here I am on a train with a tornado. Here's a picture of me doing those things. Like a little while, but like very cool pictures we took.
Yeah, right on.
I remember in
Yeah.
California, we were parked somewhere, Sacramento or something like that. But there was a
Okay.
small little earthquake, and I thought the train
Oh.
was moving because I was asleep, and I
Oh.
felt that bump, and I'm like, is the train moving? And
Oh
then I just
yeah.
went right back to sleep. And then when I woke up, they're
Wow.
like, did you feel that earthquake? I'm like, I thought the train was moving.
Yeah, because we live on a train, things move all the time. That
Yeah.
makes
Oh
perfect
yeah.
sense. Oh my
See, for
gosh. Yeah,
me, I
that's
remember going. You were talking about Mexico, going into Mexico.
yeah.
When the train started coming through the first town, I was out on the vestibule, and I'll never forget. I look over on the street, and this is how serious they took security for us. There was a pickup truck with a mounted machine gun on the back and guys in black. As soon as the train started moving, they moved with us, and if you were in their way, they would run you out of the way.
Oh my God.
And
That's
then when
what?
we split off from the town going through the desert, if you looked out in the distance, all of a sudden you saw dust clouds, and you're like, "What is that?" They were dune buggies coming in to ride along. Yeah,
Oh,
it was crazy. I was like, "What is
wow.
going on?" Yeah.
What? That is super crazy.
Oh yeah.
Wow. That is wild. Yeah.
So where did you go
The
after
things we've seen.
the Bello Knox show?
From there, we finished that, and like literally straight after loadout for that show, we went up to Maine and we crossed the border over in Maine. So we went from Wisconsin to Maine, like did load out, packed up the truck, and went straight to Maine right after that. So there, I think like we started our new show in like 2 days, 3 days time. So we went straight from one to the other, and we did that for 90 days, and that was, I would say, coming out of that tour was so hard. I'm still trying to adjust from coming out of that tour because you're just so busy all the time. Um, and then just all of a sudden be like, okay, I'm hanging out right now. And it's important. You need to take some time and hang out and relax. You can't just work like a crazy person all the time. So right now we're in between. We're on vacation. We're visiting my parents right now in Fort Myers. But yeah, that happened almost instantly right after the Bellow show finished. So there was almost no time in between.
So what can you tell us what's coming up in the next few months for you? Or are you just off or?
I'm working on a couple of things. I have a few things coming up. I can't say yet
Okay.
because I like for things to be extra certain. Um, but yes, I have things that are going to be happening. So you gotta look out. Things are gonna
Social
happen.
media, stay tuned.
Yes, you have to stay tuned on those social handles. But yes, things will be good and fun. I'm very excited. The future is always my favorite thing because you don't know what's going to happen, and it's always better than something that happened before.
Cool. Do you have any advice for any upcomers, young bucks out there who would like to perform and do stuff like this? Do you have any advice for them?
Yes, it's get out there, and it is the hardest thing, and everybody will tell you the same thing. You can't care. You can't care. You can't care. Get out there and do what you like. You need to fail in order to discover yourself. You have to ask to get an opportunity, and you can't care. And I think the thing that was hardest for me was just turning that caring off and just saying, I'm just going to do what I'm going to do and be myself. And if you don't like it, I'm sorry, that's not my problem. But you have to learn how to just not care and go out there and fail a million times because that's the only way you're going to get it to work, especially if you're
That's
going to be
right.
clowning. If you're going to be
Be
clowning, you
afraid.
need to be super, super comfortable with making a fool out of yourself
Oh yeah.
and doing things wrong. That's literally what clowning is about, finding the wrongs. So, yeah, I'd say my biggest piece of advice to people is just to start, to pick it up, to be curious and not care. Period.
Right on.
Yeah.
I have a question for you.
Yes. Yeah.
What would be your fastest time from street clothes to
Oh yeah.
full clown, and why?
What is my fastest time?
Yeah, from just street clothes to, oh no, I got to be full clown and on show floor ready.
Okay. Okay. So here's the thing. Okay, I'll talk about this in a couple of different perspectives. So number one, if you're dealing with filled wardrobe, make sure they have these little fasteners and these snaps. Make sure they make your costume for you so that way you can go just rip it on, put it on. My Ringling costume, I had those snaps all over it, and I had it in two pieces so that way I could put it on, take it off. Life is easy. Okay, so when you're designing your costume, make sure you do it, and if don't have this piece and then I put this on, then I pin that on. So I'm a big firm believer in making sure that you can get in and out of that stuff fast as possible, because it usually ends up being that. There's always a quick change somewhere. There's always I have to get dressed fast, so I am always proactive in making my costumes, my shoes, whatever I can quick release. Um, Makeup is the same. I found out when I learned makeup in Ringling, you could sit there with the finest little pen or little brush, whatever you're using. If you learn how to put your makeup on with just your fingers and do it with as minimal strokes as possible and make it in as few steps as possible, that is when you're going to have A, your best makeup, and B, your fastest makeup. So I've learned over time, less is more. And if somebody said, Scarlett, you need to be in full clown right now in the next 10 minutes, I'd say, okay. And I would, it wouldn't be pleasant. I could figure out a way to do it. You know, maybe not the best makeup, but like one of the things of being a clown is sometimes needing to meet an unrealistic expectation and being able to do it. Do you know what I mean? Like sometimes it will be called upon of you to get ready in 15 minutes or 10 minutes or something ridiculous, such as having an emergency. So it is important to consider your ready time when you're developing your look, your costume, whatever. I have a couple different looks. I have a lighter clown makeup look. I have my full blown look. To me, it always just depends on the gig and what we're doing. But if I had to be ready in 10 minutes, I could. I wouldn't like it, but I could, if that answers the question.
So let me ask it in a Greg DeSanto way. If
Yes,
there's
I love
money
this.
on the if there's money on the table, how fast would it be?
If there's, I would beat anybody. If I'd have
Uh-oh.
5 minutes, I could do five. I could do 10.
I feel like we may have
Costume,
a
shoes
clown challenge
included.
coming up.
That might be a
Oh, yes,
really
yes,
fun
yes,
challenge. To be honest with you, that's something I'd be
yes.
interested in doing. I feel like
We
I do know how to train for that. So you'd see me in my backyard putting on my shoes as fast as I can. But I feel like
we
if that
can
was
host
if
something
that was
like
a
that.
contest, I would be interested. That would
Yes,
be
we can. We
hilarious.
can.
That would be so great. Like, and just set
That
up a
would be
table with a
awesome.
cloth. We could put a big trophy at the end, and you could say, give everybody a timer, and whoever gets it ready in their cloud first. Oh my God,
We're
this
gonna
is
make
Yeah,
so
this
great.
happen.
definitely. Oh my God.
You would.
We got it. Yes, yes,
I
this has to happen.
I think this is pretty great. And I think you get a colorful mix of applicants here. And I think it would be really something fun to watch.
I know a few clowns. I'm sure you can reach out to a few clowns, but we should make something like that happen.
You know, Kelly Karsten and Kelly was another clown in the alley with me. We only had a few girl clowns, but we always used to laugh and say we wanted to invent a machine where like you just smash your face down onto the table and just roll it around, and it
Ah,
imprints your face perfectly, so that way you don't have to waste time in putting on your makeup. You just smash it into the table,
there you
roll
go.
it around a little bit, and then you're good to go. It's exactly as you need it to be, like almost like a stencil. That hasn't been invented yet, but we've dreamt about it.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
What
awesome.
is some of
Yeah.
your craziest clown alley pranks?
Or pranks. I'm not sure. I don't think we were very pranky. Oh no, wait, we did do a really good one. Okay, so one time, so okay, DJ Weiss, right?
Yep, yep, yep,
Julia's brother DJ. He was a
yep.
clown on Blue with me. We're very good friends. I talk to him still all the time. He used to wear an excessive amount of glitter, like the biggest chunks he could find, and he would just put it on, and it would be in excess. And like I'd sometimes look at him in the morning and be like, DJ, you can't even open and blink. Like you can't open your eyes, you can't blink. Like it was so much glitter, it's so heavy. He's like, I don't care, I like it. And, we used to crack up. One day we had a production manager come in, And we had her get real serious and say, so the last city, we had to pay a huge fine because we had to rent out this really expensive machine to vacuum up the glitter that got in the rug. And it was this great big mess, and we had to spend thousands of dollars, and we are gonna have to fire someone. And like,
Oh my
and
gosh.
like we set this up, like we knew, like we set the production manager to come up and do that, and DJ just sat there and like sunk in his chair because he knew it was, if this was real, it was him. And then afterwards, like she was like, "Oh, we're just kidding," and it was so funny though. Like just like we weren't very pranky, but we did do that one time, and it was very very funny because he thought he was like going to get in trouble because we had to rent out a very expensive vacuum cleaner to clean up his glitter. So good.
That is outstanding.
Yeah. It's a good thing that didn't exist because I'm sure we would have gotten in trouble for it at one point or another. Although sometimes some of the areas they'd put us in were just like, where are we?
Oh, I bet. Do you
Yeah.
have a memorable or favorite crowd interaction?
Hmm. Well, I will say this. I am a girl clown. If possible, I will always be the clown that wears the dress. And I
Okay.
love the fact that little children, like the little girls, will recognize that and want a picture with me or want a hug from me and be like, you're the princess clown, I see you're wearing the dress, you know what I mean? And
Right on.
I feel like that's a huge honor. And like I like to wear the skirt for that reason, like it is like because kids recognize that, and I notice that all the time. Like the little girls that might be shy will be like, oh hey, I see you, hey girlfriend. And I like to be recognized as the girl clown. So I'd say anytime I am in clown wearing a skirt and I'm able to catch the attention of the young girls, and that is huge for me. I also like, and I got this a lot on my last tour in Canada. The younger teen boys who are otherwise like too cool. My favorite thing is when they come up to, and this happens frequently. They'll be like, "Cool backflip." I saw that. That was, like they'll give me one of those, and I feel like, okay, cool. If you can get anything out of a teenage boy, like you're doing pretty good.
Right?
So, like, I feel
Yeah.
like when the teenage boys say to me, "Cool backflip," I feel like I earned that.
That's awesome.
Hard crowd to please.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have any favorite venues that you perform, cities or
Yeah.
anything you perform?
I'm gonna go with the Barclay Center because of Jay-Z's cologne. I don't know if y'all have been there, but in the Barclay Center, Jay-Z is one of the owners, and he pumps his cologne in
Oh
there,
wow.
and
Yeah.
the whole building smells like Jay-Z.
Yep.
And it
No
is
kidding.
the most memorable. It is beautiful. It is beautiful inside, but all I can remember is smelling Jay-Z the whole week. I remember going up to the Starbucks that was connected to the back of it, and it smelling like Jay-Z up there also.
The big
Barclay
No
turntable,
Center.
kidding.
the big turntable that it would turn semis around on. Yep.
Yes,
Yep.
yes,
We
that was the
we got
coolest
snowed
building
in there.
ever. Wow,
Yeah,
really?
it got a hard freeze. They stopped all traffic, so everyone ended up spending the night in the arena that night.
Yep, yep. We played. It was cold. I remember. Yeah, it was. Yeah, and I remember the train being parked really far away there too. Like the train ride being, or the bus ride from the train being significant. I remember getting a hotel.
Wow.
Yeah, it was far.
Well, we are running short on time, so we're getting to that point in the show.
That's okay.
I did. Well, normally I would ask you to give advice, but we already did that. The other thing I would ask you then is where people can find you, but you said you got some stuff in the work, so unless
Yeah,
there's so that I guess that won't work. Well, I'll tell
you
you
just
what.
have to follow me on social media for now
All
until
right, there you
until
go. I'll
then.
tell you what. We'll ask you this:
Yes.
where can people find you on social media? How do they
You can
look you up?
find me. I enjoy hanging out on Instagram. My handle there is Scarlett _J _Sullivan, And yeah, I'm pretty active on there. You can catch me and follow me and see what I'm doing there. Like I said, I'm a woman of secrets, and I do have some things coming up in the future, but we're gonna have to just wait and see what those things are because I'm excited about them. And yeah, I appreciate y'all having me on. This has been a blast. I love
We
talking about all
appreciate
this
you.
stuff. I love what you
Awesome.
do. I think it is so important to
Thank you.
the circus community that we keep these things alive and we talk about them and we start these conversations. So what you're doing is super A plus. I love it.
If you
Awesome. Awesome.
before I end this quick, if you do or if you are in touch with any of the hair hang girls and they want to tell their story,
Oh
point them our
yeah,
way.
I'm
Definitely
in
point
touch
them
with
our way
all
if
of
you
them.
would, please. Sweet.
All of
So
them. I've
that's
collected all 8 friendships.
right on, right on. With
Yeah,
that said, folks,
perfect.
if you wanna learn her secrets, you know where to follow her. Again, we get back to this. You heard it here, folks. If you want to learn her secrets, follow her on social media. And with that said, thank you everybody for watching. Thank you for coming on the show. We're definitely going to have you back. And with that said, we'll see you down the road.
All right.
Thanks
Bye.
for having me. See you down the road.